Hello, everybody. I'm going to talk to you about the morale in life. Morale affects many aspects of people's lives, whether it be workplace, government assistance, the credit score, relationships, friendships. I'm going to start with the workplace because I wrote an ebook called Chasing Morale, Battling the Morale Virus. A cure starts here, no prescription needed. This book is based off of morale in the workplace. And I have worked for 35 years in my career, and morale has been the same in every single place that I've worked at. Whether it be a factory or an at home job or on a property, workplace has been the same. It's all, the morale has been the same. I've did polls. I did an online poll with over 10,000 responses, and the results all backed up everything that I said. I polled people as they were walking out of work. The results were all the same. Coworkers, friends, family, all the results are the same. Morale stinks in the workplace. Upper management doesn't even know who you are in most places, unless maybe if it's a really small company. But I worked for a small company that had about 30 employees, and the owners still didn't even know what my name was. Didn't even conversate with me, nothing. And that's the problem in the workplace, is that they don't take the time to know who you are as a person. It matters who you are as a person. You're a human being just like everybody else. You're the person who makes the company run. Without workers, you don't have anything. You have no profit. You have no product to send out the door. You're not making any money without us. But yet we're just a number, and things should be a little bit more personalized within the workplace. Egos. The ego of upper management is astoundingly crazy, that they think that they're better than you and they don't associate with you. There's an inner circle of in upper management that just don't associate with lower, with the lower, the people doing the work for you. I don't want to say lower because we're all equal, but what I mean was, the employees who do the work, they look at us as nothing. Um, I've dealt with so many issues. Racism is a very huge topic. Um, I had an instance where, or not I had an instance, but there was an instance in a place that I worked at where they were hiring two machine operators. One was Caucasian and one was black. And the Caucasian worker was friends with the supervisor. He got put with the most experienced machine operator they had, while the black guy got put with the guy who just got off of probation. Well, guess what? The Caucasian guy excelled at his position, while the black coworker struggled at his position and lost his position a few months later for failure to catch on to the job. Oh, I wonder why. Because you gave him, the lower person to train, and that caused a hole in his training. And that's just not right, and that's racism at its best. I had a situation with racism myself where I was friends with a black forklift driver. I became friends with a black forklift driver, and I had a good relationship with my supervisor for 2 months before he went out on vacation, and then he caught COVID, and he was out about a month. In the meantime, I became friends with the forklift driver. One day, the day that my supervisor came back, me and my friend were talking outside after work, and he and the supervisor usually, took a walk around the property and made sure the doors were locked. But he always said goodbye to me when he seen me outside. He walked right past me when he seen me talking to Willie. And the following morning, we have a meeting at 9 o'clock every morning. He said good morning to everybody but me, and he did not acknowledge me at all. There was one day I said, Greg, I said, I need to talk to you, and he just kept walking. I mean, and probably about a week later, he changed my position. I was the inventory person there, and he changed my position to production, where I had no experience in production. I received about 4 minutes and 27 seconds of training, no joke. About 8 days later, I was fired. He put me in that position so he could fire me because I was friends with the black coworker. And that's racism at its best. And there's no room for that in the workplace. There's no room for racism anywhere. Diversity. I've worked in so many places where most of the upper management is all Caucasian, no women, no other ethnic backgrounds, and it is the majority. And everybody deserves a chance to hold that position, because there are people that are actually smarter out there than these people that they have in these positions. Because you're not smart if you don't get to know who somebody is. You're not smart when you run a place when you don't even know what a person does or how to even run the equipment in the facility. You just sit there and bark orders and think everything is okay. I worked in the same place that I worked at. They hired a general manager who was my supervisor's boss. And he came in there. He never spoke to anybody, never tried to get to know anybody. And he moved all this machinery around and moved people. He actually moved me from the warehouse, where there was an office in the middle of the plant, and that's where my desk was. And he moved me all the way to the shipping and receiving office, which was a long walk to the warehouse for me to even do my job. And my desk sat empty. It's not like he moved somebody there that made more sense. He just did all this because he could. My supervisor stated, he didn't really get along with him, stated that he had the ego the size of a country. And it isn't how you run a business. And it was acceptable and done at this place. And that's just the problem in the workplace. The workplace is, you should be able to enjoy going to work, not, you go to work, you come home, you go to work, you come home, but you're just like, when the alarm clock goes off, you just dread, oh boy, I gotta go to work, and it's just terrible. And I had another instance where I was the lead warehouse at the same place I'm talking about. And I tried to do a teamwork exercise, and I simply started out by trying to get everybody to say good morning. And there was this employee that kind of, grumbled about it for a couple weeks. There's a story about this in my book. And the supervisor, they finally got the guy to say good morning, and the supervisor finally went off on me about it. Like, oh, I'm bugging everybody with this good morning crap, and that's just, and that brought my morale down. That made me not even want to, even do any teamwork exercises anymore, just because of the comment that the supervisor made to me. Things need to change in the workplace, and that's why I wrote this book. I urge people to buy this book, Chasing Morale, Battling the Morale Virus. It's $9.99. I have a website, tscrup.net. That's tscrup.net. It's $9.99, and I do have $3 going to a charity called Entryway that helps homelessness and helps individuals gain employment through the multi-family property management industry. And I actually am a participant in this program as we speak. I've been in it for about 9 months. I graduate in about 3 months, and it's an amazing charity. And $3 goes to this charity. So I urge people to buy this book. Whether you're an employee, it's your voice. Give it to the HR or the owner. And if nothing gets done with it after a period of time, ask if you can hold an employee meeting and present this book to them in the employee meeting, and bring up the fact that, hey, do you know my name? The owner, they're going to be embarrassed that they don't know your name, and they're going to take some action off this book. And for employers, no offense to what I just said, but this is your blueprint to make things better in your workplace. I have pages 13 through 16 will boost the employee morale by 50% if you just follow something very simple. And I just urge everybody to purchase this book. And we got a good charity it's going to, and it's going to improve everybody's lives. And at least when that alarm clock goes off, at least you don't necessarily going to be jumping around dancing that you're going to work, but at least you ain't going to mind going to work because things are going to be better. Another aspect of morale is government assistance. I can't stress this enough. And I have a couple little stories to tell with this, but unemployment takes 6 to 8 weeks to get if you have an issue with your claim. And a lot of people have an issue because the company that you work for is fighting it, stating that you got fired for this reason, or whatever the reason is, they try fighting it, so it goes to adjudication, and they take forever to help you. I was on unemployment last year. It took 9 weeks for me to get my claim. I actually won my appeal, and it still took them 2 weeks to pay me after I won my appeal. I had to make several phone calls. When you call, you get a busy signal. Very difficult to get a hold of anybody at unemployment. I don't care what state you're in. I had the same problem in Wisconsin that I had in Florida. And people need to put shelters over their head. You think the landlord is gonna not evict you if you don't pay your rent after 30 days? They're not gonna wait. Oh, I'm waiting on unemployment. They don't care. They want their money. But you also have to have a roof over your head. Same thing with food stamps. I know a lot of people don't agree with people getting food stamps, but when you lose your job, how is a person supposed to eat? So that's a process. They say it takes 30 days for them to give you assistance. They take all 30 days. Even if you have your phone interview at day 5, you're still waiting 30 days for your stamps. And I'll give you an example that I went through just last year. The lady called me at 8 a.m. on a Monday morning. I was still sleeping, and I got up about 8:15. I heard the message and I called her back. I got no response. For 2 weeks in a row, I called this lady every single day and left her a message. 2 weeks later, she closed my case, stating that I never got back with her. That's not how you treat people. And these are the people that they have on their payroll. I have an unemployment example where I have a friend who supposedly got a letter stating that she had to I can't remember what it was called, but she had to do something. And this lady claims that she received the letter. Well, my friend said that she did not receive the letter. 30 days passed, and they stopped paying her. And she didn't understand why, because she didn't know anything about it. She's being told she did, but she didn't. She had to go through a bunch of hoops just to talk to somebody. And when she talked to somebody, she finally talked to the lady who said that she sent the letter, and the lady told her, "Oh, I'll have an answer for you on Thursday." Well, Thursday rolled around, this lady don't know nothing. Friday rolled around, this lady still don't know nothing. So she has 2 kids, one on the way. She's 8 months pregnant, and she ain't getting paid. How is she supposed to support her family? I have another friend who just cannot get a hold of unemployment. He has an adjudication issue, and he can't get a hold of anybody. Nobody will talk to him. How is he supposed to pay his rent? How is he supposed to put food on the table for his children? They just don't care. Take Social Security, for instance, 12 to 18 months it takes them to make a decision. But they tell you when you first apply that you're not supposed to work for 12 months. How are you supposed to survive in life for 12 months to 18 months with nothing, with no money, but yet you're not supposed to work? You have to fight through it. I have a friend who has a very bad back, and but he goes to work and he pushes through because he has no choice. But yet, if you work, you're gonna get denied. You're only allowed to work part time while you're waiting for them to make a decision. But yet they say that you're not supposed to work at all. The government needs to work with people, not work against people, and that's all they're doing is working against people. And then they wonder why people, and I don't condone this by any means by saying this, but that's why people resort to scamming, stealing, robbing people because they have to survive somehow. And it isn't because you're getting help from the government. I don't understand why the government can't hire more people. You hire more people and get these and push these people through and get them some assistance immediately. Why does it have to be so hard? It's like you don't care. They don't care. And you can't convince me that they do care. Because I've been through it and I know so many people who've been through it and it's all the same. Why should you have to wait so long to get help? Your landlord ain't going to wait for you. You can't go 30 days without food. You'll die before the 30 days is up. You'll die before a week is up. But they take it so lightly like it's no big deal. The government needs to step up. And then let's take the credit score. Let's talk about the credit score. The credit score makes it so hard for people to get anything that have struggled or had life events. The credit score doesn't reflect a life event. You lose your job, it doesn't reflect that life event. And that's why your credit score takes a dip because you can't pay your bills, your car gets repossessed, because you can't find a job because nobody wants to hire you. I mean, even getting hired, that's a whole other topic right there, is trying to find a job. Even though you have experience, it's so difficult, especially if you have, a felony or a misdemeanor. It's impossible. I have a friend who has has a misdemeanor on his record and can't find a job. He's been looking for a job for 4 months. Nobody will touch him. But yet you can have the highest office of president of the United States with 32 felonies, and you can get it, and you can have the highest office. That felony part should be taken off the job application. But anyways, getting back to the credit score. Let's just say that I want to go buy a car, and I go to the Chevy dealership, and I don't like any of the cars there, but they run my credit. I go to the Ford dealership, they run my credit. I go to the Hyundai, I go to 5 different places, they're all running my credit. What is that doing? My credit score is taking a hit every single time I go apply, trying just to simply buy a car so I can get to work. Yes, there's public transportation, and in some places, people living in rural areas or like where I live, there's not a bus stop within 20 minutes. So it's a 20-minute walk just to get on a bus and try and figure out how to get around. How to get around. If you ask me, everybody should have the same percentage rate. You have bad credit, yeah, you might be able to get a car for 25, 30% interest rate, where someone who's got good credit can get maybe 2, 3, 4, 5% interest rate. It should be that way across the board for everybody because people would be able to make their car payments. A $200 to $300 car payment is easy to make and more obtainable to make than a credit score of I mean, I'm sorry, but of a car payment of $800. I had a friend who had an $800 payment for a basic car that had 80,000 miles on it just because his credit was bad. The credit score, and then it's just they make it so hard for people to succeed in life. And like I said, it doesn't account for life events of a job loss or anything like that. A health issue. You have a health issue. It doesn't. They don't. It doesn't reflect that. You can't sit there and say, "Well, I had a health issue and I was in the hospital for a month," or "I broke my leg and I couldn't work for 6 weeks." Your credit score is going to take a hit because you ain't getting paid. You're not making any money. But yet that's the way life is. They make it so hard in life. You go to school from kindergarten to 18. You either got to go to college or you get a job at the age of 18 and you work till you're 65, 70, or you and some people they don't even make retirement. They die before they even get to retirement, and you didn't get to enjoy life. There's so much of this world that you know should be able to be seen by everybody, not just certain people who got money. But that's the way it is. You should be able to retire at the age of 50 and be able to enjoy your life and give you, $5,000 a month, to survive. Everybody should get $2,000 a month, period, for their whole life so they can enjoy the fruits of life. You can't, the struggle is real. And you got people who go to, can afford to put their parents through college, and those are the ones that are getting these upper management positions. That don't mean that they're smart. They could skate through with a 2.0 grade point average through high school, go to college, skate through college, and they have this degree, so they get hired in upper management where you got these valedictorians that have live in a poor family and can't afford to send them to school. Even if they do go to school, you got a student loan. So now you got the student loan that you have to pay on top of a car payment if you have a car, on top of rent. And let's talk about electricity. They'll shut you off, hot or cold. How would you like your electric shut off in Florida in the summertime? Any place in the summertime, but Florida where it never cools down. I'm on a pay-as-you-go plan right now, and I went below the amount, and I got paid that day, but I didn't get paid until like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I called up JEA and asked them if I could, just because they were scheduled to shut me off at 9 in the morning. They didn't waste no time. As soon as I fell below, oh, you got a disconnection at 9 a.m. the following morning. No leeway, no nothing. I told them I got paid, and they said, "No, you got to pay it. You got to pay it now." It was only a couple dollars, but I didn't have a couple dollars. My money gets stretched every single paycheck, and but did they care? No, they didn't care if my power got shut off. It ain't no skin off their back. Ain't no skin off their back if you living in heat or living in cold. I know in Wisconsin there's some kind of where they can't shut you off in the wintertime, but uh, you still have that problem come April if you don't catch up on your bills. And I understand some people don't pay their bills, but that isn't what this is about. This is about being able to afford to pay your bills. But life gets in the way sometimes, and government doesn't see that life gets in the way sometimes. People don't see that life gets in the way sometimes. You could be evicted because you lost your job, but when you go to apply for an apartment, all they see is that you have an eviction on your record. They don't care why it happened. They don't even look into why it happened. They don't look and see, well, okay, he had a job loss that explains his eviction. They don't care. It's no skin off their back. They just ain't gonna give you a place to live. The same thing with employment. You don't sit there and look into why someone lost their job, or what events happened in their life that caused them to lose their job, or you know everything. There's people unemployed, and there's job openings all over the place. Why is it so hard to get a job? And all of this, the point of all this is, when I say morale in life, is morale affects everything. Morale affects relationships. People go through divorces. You got friendships. You got backstabbing friends, and the whole 9 yards. You lose friends, but it brings you down. Everything in life brings you down in a negative way if it ain't positive. But when you're dealing with losing your job and trying to get government assistance, and you, you can't live with them taking their sweet old time trying to help you, and then you got the credit score. Your credit score dips down below 400. It ain't no skin off their back. They got food on the table. If you can eat and if you can have a roof over your head, why can't I? And these people are in control of your life. If you go back to the story I told you about the lady who didn't answer my phone calls for 2 weeks in a row, my me eating was in her hands, and she didn't care. So therefore, I didn't eat very much. I had to mooch off of people just to eat, all because this government agency decided that, oh, I can do this. I can mess with people's lives. The government should be hiring a lot more people, and have the turnaround be a lot faster than it is. It don't even for Social Security, it don't take that long for you to look at doctor records to see whether or not a person is able to work or not. Why does it take a year? Explain that to me. So, when I say morale in life, it needs to change. Government needs to work to help the citizens be able to survive and live a decent life. And I hate to use these words too, but what do you think people commit suicide for? Because they can't handle life. And a lot of it can be avoided if the government would just step up and do something for your citizens. Again, waiting 6 to 8, 10 weeks for unemployment, waiting 30 days for food stamps, waiting a year and a half to get Social Security. That's nuts. So I just encourage people again to purchase my ebook, for workplace morale. I know it doesn't help you with government assistance, but we all need to have a voice. Employees, you need to have a voice. Employers, it's your blueprint. As far as government assistance goes, have a voice. Make this podcast video go viral. Have a voice. Make this heard. That's what we need. We need this to be heard. And maybe something will be done, and I wouldn't hold your breath on it, but something needs to be done with just society in general, because people wouldn't do some of the things they do if they had some help from the government, and make their lives a little easier when they're down and out. I'm asking for a call to action for employees to buy this book for your employer. I'm asking employers to buy this book to help your employees. I'm asking the government to help your citizens be able to survive and have a decent life, and not make them wait forever for assistance that they so desperately need. The credit score. Give everybody a car with the same percentage rate, 5%, or whatever it is. Give it them at the same percentage rate. Don't take because someone inquires about something, don't make them take a hit on their credit score. They need a car to get to work. How are they supposed to get to work without a car? Yes, there are other ways, but not the public transportation isn't necessarily accessible. Lyfts and Ubers cost just as much money as a car payment. So again, I urge people to call to action and help fight this morale virus that affects life. That's what I'm asking everybody to do. Let's work together and let's end the morale virus of life. Thank you.